time it's going to be a little bit different. This is stuff I've been wanting to do for a while now, and it is going over misconceptions, misunderstandings of Dragon Ball, and ranting about my thoughts of the Dragon Ball community and just how certain things are done in the Dragon Ball community. This video will not be containing to that. This video will be about a misunderstanding of a certain character, and that will be this Goku. Now, if you don't know which this Goku is, this is a 100-year time skip GT Goku. So this is Goku after he left with the Shinron at the end of GT. There's some huge misconceptions with this character, and this video will be breaking them down as best as I can to hopefully help you understand about this character better going on into the future. And this video, this is not pertaining to just like any one person. This is just pertaining to community as a whole. I'm not saying like, oh, everyone misunderstands him, because that's not the case. Every community is different. Just from what I've seen in the American community, there seems to be a big misunderstanding of what this character is. So breaking down into it, we will begin with the first thing here, and this is part of the GT guidebooks. This is a very important statement, and we are going to read this fully, and this is kind of going to help build the building blocks I want to set for us to understand what GT 100 Years Time Skip Goku is. So, at the beginning, where did Goku go on Shenlong's back at the very end? To be honest, in GT episode 63, just before the final episode, a big change overcomes Goku. Those who watch carefully might have noticed, but in that episode, Goku, who takes on Senshinron attack, sinks at the bottom of a deep hole. That is the turning point. Afterward, Goku still continues the battle, but what's different from before is that he's cloaked in an aura that won't let any attack near him. It might be that he died there, or it might be he came something different entirely. I leave it to the decision of to the imaginations of everyone who watched. However, the Goku up to that point that everyone knows clearly does not appear after that. So pretty much what this is saying is, it is up for interpretation. So this whole video is like, well, how can people misunderstand something if it's open for interpretation? Well, there's a certain finite of degree here that we are working with open interpretation and what the actual character is and what the story is, because the story does give us context clues. And breaking into what the big misconception is. The big misconception here is that since he is 100 years after that, he trained for 100 years, and that he's some sort of demigod who can grant any wish possible. And that those are two huge major misconceptions of what he is. And so I'm going to read this. We're going to finish reading this, because before we get into the show parts, I want us to make this clear. So here they said what happened to him here is up for interpretation. So here, in the world of Dragon Ball, Goku has already died multiple times. Up until then, each time he appeared was a halo over his head. However, I did not want to go with the usual concept of even when he dies, he comes back to life. I want the viewers to picture death in a way that feels a sadness close to it in reality. So I had to change, overcome Goku. What this is saying is, while there are certain things open for interpretation, he did die. To the writers, Goku did die here. He was dead because they wanted his death to be different from before. That's what I'm saying. They wanted his death to be different. They didn't want him just to go to Otherworld and then come back later. They didn't want him to go to Otherworld and go train before. Now we're going to get into this. And even after that, once he defeats Shinron and grants the final wish, Goku goes right off with Shinron in the Dragon Ball. So somewhere that people definitely can't get to, while wishing that people will be able to get on their own by their own strength in the world without travels. And Vegeta's the only one who knows this where he's headed. Except I personally go ahead and imagine that Goku might unexpectedly show up at Chi-Chi's from time to time. Yes, unexpectedly. And then it talks about at the final episode when he disappears in the Shinron when all the Dragon Balls go into him. So now this is just imagination, like, because this was never shown. Because again, right as he leaves, we just skip 100 years. And as that happens, we get into GT's Hero's Legacy, where we see Goku Jr. and stuff as that. So that is ultimately kind of like So this is happening between that time, though we never see it. Again, it is just what they believe is happening, but what they believe and what was shown can be kind of two different things. But we have to use what they're saying here. So pretty much Goku does this again. This is describing when Goku left with Shenron at the very end of, like, not the very end, but in the middle of that final episode. So again, so what we are going over here is this is the most important paragraph right here. This right here. They wanted his death to be different from before. They didn't want him to feel his death feel the same as what happened. So he did die. Well, there are certain things open to interpretation, like where he went and stuff like that. Sure, could be open for interpretation, but the story does give us context clue on what was actually happening here. And to begin with, so to break down why he didn't train, why GT Goku did not train in that 100 years, simply put, because the show says he did. Right here, we have, right before Goku loses Shenron, we have Vegeta asking, "Are you training again?" Vegeta, the writers deliberately put that line for Vegeta to ask if Goku was going to go train. Goku doesn't say anything, but right before he could, Vegeta then notices something's different. Remember right here, it's only what Vegeta notices. Vegeta's the only one that's noticing what's going on. So, and then right when Vegeta figures that out, Goku shushes. So, the writers deliberately had Vegeta ask if he's going to go train. Goku, there's no yes or no. Vegeta didn't realize that something else is happening altogether. This isn't a simple case like where he goes to Otherworld, where he gets to train with King Kai, he has the halo. No, he's not leaving to go train. This is something different. This is a different death. That something completely changed Goku altogether. This is not the same as what happened before. This is what the writers want, and it's right here. Again, I want to ask you, viewer, what would be so different if Goku died and then went to go train off somewhere else? Nothing. That would be the same as before. Anyone is saying, "Show, oh, well, Goku said he'd come back." Well, he's saying that to be nice, to give him comfort that he might. But again, it was how they wanted this to be. They wanted this to be different. They didn't want this to be the same as before. So Vegeta specifically asking if he was going to go train is what's the setup. Again, he specifically asked that, and then he realizes something else is happening. So no, there's no evidence to suggest Goku trained for 100 years. In fact, there is counter evidence that suggests that he never did at all. And then we get to here, Goku shushes, and then here is when Pan gets his clothes, because his clothes, his gi was just lying on the ground, and he just left with Shinron. Again, this is different. This isn't him leaving for other world where he got to keep his clothes. This is something new altogether. So I want this to paint across that this is not him going to Otherworld, because there's also other things that go into fact here. When we do see GT Goku again at the end of GT, he's on Earth. He's able to walk around Earth. He has no halo over his head, which is big factors of like normal death. Normal death in Dragon Ball is you get the halo. Actually, that's not even true. Normal death is you don't even get to keep your body. Normal death for Goku is he got the halo and he got to keep his body, but he could not go to the world of living without characters like Baba allowing him to be on Earth for 24 hours. For him to be able to free roam Earth as he is already a big sign that again, he is not the same as before. And to go on, now we do have this guide, which does come from a Spanish guide that does say pretty much that Goku is the guardian of the Dragon Balls. Which, I mean, it could lead into some tie of like what happened here, but simply put, the best way I can describe what happened, what is inferring here, is that Goku did die. He's dead. And it's not the same death as before, where he can just come back. Where he does come back at the end. We see him come back, but we only see him come back when the Dragon Balls are back. So could he be a guardian of the Dragon Balls, as this guide says? Sure, that's a potential possibility, but he's not directly tied to the Dragon Balls because at the end of, in fact, this image right here is taken right as the World Tournament is happening between Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. So it's very clear that he's not tied to the Dragon Balls. He's able to free roam the Earth as he were to please to. So, what exactly is going on? What exactly is he? Well, again, that is when the open interpretation can come in. Here you have people saying that he is a guardian of the Dragon Balls, which is a possibility. That could be very clearly what he is. But he is not tied to Dragon Balls. For in fact, we only see him one time with the Dragon Ball, and that's when Goku Jr. finds it at the end of Hero's Legacy. But then we also see later on him not even being anywhere near the Dragon Balls. So it's very clear that he's not personally connected to the Dragon Balls. We know he is dead. That is a clear point, clear as day. Chop up. We know that he did not train because, again, they specifically asked if he was going to, but then notice they had it changed because something else is happening. He did not train, he did not leave to go train. So no, training is like he does not train at all. So, but can he grant wishes? Simply put, no. There's nothing to ever actually suggest he could. I know people point out in the ending of GT's Hero's Legacy where Pain Grandma Pan and Puck are fine, but that is more catered to children, and there's plenty of characters who have miraculously survived falling off cliffs, and since we never see Puck actually die, he most likely is just he just somehow survived because he's seen in the police helicopter, assuming that he was found by the police where in down in the valley, or perhaps he got out and was found in the woods. And it is never explained. It is just something that happens because they have to wrap it up into a nice, cute little bow where it's okay, kids, everything's fine, everyone's fine at the end. So no, I do not count that as him having wish granting powers because nothing's ever confirmed that. It's nothing ever stated. And I know, well, you don't need everything to stay for you, but for something like that, there kind of has to be something. Him being a guardian of Dragon Ball seems to be fine as sort of keep people from using them for bad intentions. But him like granting wishes is never a thing. It's never been established. Never once said ever, ever, ever. So what can we officially say? So can we clear up this misconception? Yes, Goku did not train. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that he didn't. What happened after? Well, that's what's open for interpretation. But what is he? At best we can say, from what was shown, is that he's a spirit. He is not part of the living or other world. He is in his own plane of existence as a spirit. A more traditional sense of a spirit, one where he can interact with small objects, as shown at the end of Hero's Legacy, where he grabs the 4-star Dragon Ball. We can go over the fact that he vanishes randomly. He's there, but then he's gone. And I feel like that is the best thing to say for him, is to say that at the end of GT, he is a friendly spirit who is there. He just watches over the earth. While he is unable to maybe do anything, perhaps he can give guidance to those in need like he does with Goku Jr. I think maybe perhaps that is the best fitting. It's just a friendly spirit who's just there who can give guidance in times of need. Kinda like the Dragon Balls, in a way. Because Dragon Balls during desperate times of needs, they are given to people who need to help ease the problem. He could be that could be what he is simply put, a spirit who is there to help those in their time of need like he does with Goku Jr. I think simply put, again, he did not train for 100 years. He has never been shown to be able to grant any wishes because we've only seen him for such a small amount of time. So that is simply put, that is me covering the misconceptions of 100-year time skip GT Goku. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.